Hello viewers, this is Unicorndays Tarot, and today I'm going to talk about tarot as a follow-on to my earlier video of a guide to meditation. And this speaks about how tarot can help or hinder, so can be quite important to listen to. So, what can tarot do? As many of you know, it helps to highlight the parts of life that are causing dilemmas: relationships, career, abundance, loneliness, anxiety, grief, loss, stagnation, or even lack of inspiration. And it shows a possible outcome to a situation based on the energies in the moment, which either brings a sense of peace and relief or gives guidance to change an outcome for the better. So, by showing an outcome, it means that tarot is giving a prediction. Now, prediction can be a very grey area, because in many cases, I believe, predictions are not written in stone, and a possible outcome is a possible prediction which we can change if we're not happy with it or discontent. And the guidance that you're given through the tarot gives you the chance to change a prediction, rather than blindly believe that that prediction is going to come about. However, having said that, sometimes it's almost like there are bullet points in your life where predictions do come about and they're inevitable, and a lot of tarot readers can see them. But I also believe that these predictions come about because unseen actions, behaviours and events have already determined the future outcome. For instance, on a lighter level, if you at some point in your life years earlier wished to manifest a lump sum of money and perhaps put that message out to the universe in the correct way, years down the line, the universe or the angels, spirits, guides, whatever you believe in, have answered your prayer and agreed to it. So suddenly this manifests. So was it a prediction, or was it something that you manifested for yourself? Here lies the question. So that brings the subject of perfect timing in, that I've mentioned a few times earlier in my videos, that what we think is perfect timing may be incorrect. And although our prayers have been answered, they may not manifest for several years, because when we do receive it, that is actually the time that we are meant to, for the better of us. So I hope that you can understand that this possibly could be the answer to prediction. And it's not always based by ourselves, but also by other people and events in our life, and the decisions that other people and we have made. Because there are always several choices in our lives that we can make in the moment, which set us on a future path. But where people are involved, there are also other people that can make decisions in the spur of a moment that will change life for us. And as a result of this, and the events that occur in our lives, we often turn to the tarot. So, how does tarot help, and how does it hinder? What possibly makes us connect to the tarot? One of the most obvious and very common is family. Because a family member of ours may have psychic ability, and possibly genetically we are born with the ability. So it's very natural that we may be drawn to tarot. Another way that we can be drawn to tarot is for fun. By going to see a tarot reader at a fun fair or an event where you're killing time and you think, let's go and do this and see what happens. And although it's done in a very light-hearted way, when you're given a reading, sometimes it piques your interest because they pick up on things and you wonder, how did they know that? And if they tell you something that actually happens to become true, then it starts to spark a bit of interest and fascination. And so you become interested in the future and what the future holds. So you start to inquire about things because you want predictions for the future. And often, as a youngster, it's about relationships. But of course, predictions about relationships can be a tricky thing because it takes the actions and thoughts of two people to bring them together. And many different things can happen that can change events. For instance, you can be going down a street and a possible future partner could be heading in your direction. And as you're walking down the street, you may decide to go into a shop or not go into a shop. And by deciding to go into the shop, you miss the chance of bumping into this future person that may be right for you. And if you hadn't gone into the shop, You may have bumped into this person and a relationship could have sparked from it. So it's possible that a reader could have seen the possibility of this future relationship. But because you made the decision in that moment in time to go into that shop, the opportunity passed you by. So, at this point, you may become very jaded in life and decide that tarot reader didn't know what they were talking about. It never happened. However, it may also be possible that you return to the tarot reader, and the tarot reader comes up with the same prediction, that you're going to meet the right person. So another opportunity will present itself if you believe that this person should be in your life. But in this case, whether you return to the tarot reader or not, if that person was meant to be in your life, I believe they will be. And if these possible outcomes or predictions from tarot readers continue to happen, then you will tend to continue to return to the tarot reader and keep questing for future predictions. So where does this take you? Well, often, whenever you're fearful in your life, you will turn to the tarot and to the predictions that it can bring. And what makes you fearful is lack of control in your life and the desire to control it, so that if you're given predictions, you can feel a sense of control and a sense of purpose. And unfortunately, most of the time, this sense of control involves other people. For example, your relationships, whatever they may be, whether it's love with partners or family members or friends. Also, it can be in the workplace with boss or work colleagues. And we feel that we've lost control in some way because of their behaviours and what they've done and the way they're behaving. And we feel that our lives are spiralling out of control because of outside events. And we don't understand why it's happening to us. So we turn to the tarot to try to gain control again of our lives and what's happening in it. But control is not always a good thing. And unfortunately, it can lead to an obsession with tarot, to the point that we are so focused on predictions for the future that we forget to be in the present of our own lives and make decisions for ourselves which will empower us rather than controlling us. So, control in a good sense is when you decide to take charge of your life in a way that doesn't influence other people, and we're only working on improving ourselves without the intention to influence others. However, when we decide to take control of our lives or take charge of our lives for ourselves, sometimes we can self-sabotage. And a lot of people sort of ask, what is self-sabotage? Well, for an example, you may see a really good job that's available, and you know that there will be a lot of applicants, and you think that it would be a wonderful job for you, but perhaps you're not 100% sure, you lack confidence, and you feel that maybe you won't get the job. And then you start thinking about all these scenarios about whether you go for the interview, whether you might make a fool of yourself, whether if you got the job you may not be able to handle it. And so in the end, you decide to take control by avoiding what could be upsetting for you. So you never go for that interview. And there's a good chance that you may have just been the perfect person for that job, and that you may have gone for the interview and really got on with your interviewer and had a sense that it was a wonderful place to work, and you may have got the job. So by being afraid of the outcomes for the worst, you self-sabotage your chances. So there's one example. And the other example, which is a major one, is controlling other people. It can be from a child, parents, friends, relationships. We can be that child that learns to manipulate parents by our behaviours, so we start to control how they react to us. And if we don't have healthy boundaries, we can learn to take control of people from a very early age. And later, it's possible that one of the strongest reasons for control issues in relationships is abandonment. And often as young children, we may feel a sense of abandonment if one of our parents leaves, or one of our parents is not really on board with bringing us up and neglects us in some way. Or it can be when we lose a parent through bereavement, or maybe perhaps we never had parents, or we were left in a home or an orphanage. So these all lead to senses of abandonment, and as we grow up, that's always with us, that if we are in a relationship with someone, that they may abandon us. And then we start to take control of people to try to keep them in our lives. I'm sure you have all experienced this at one level or another in so many different ways. But you start to try to preempt what the other person might do, and then you try to think of ways to control that. For instance, if you think your partner is going to go out to a pub or socially, and they're going to meet someone else, then you will probably either try to prevent them from going out, or you will be constantly contacting them if they are out to keep tabs on them and make sure that they're not doing anything, which of course you can't control anyway. But these are a couple of examples of control issues. So you may turn to a tarot reader to try to ask them what your partner is feeling or doing, or whether your partner is having a relationship with another person, or you may be talking about a friend or a family member who you feel is possibly not being honest with you. And you'll have this reading, and if they pick up on things, you will try to act on them because you now have control. And you may try to act on them by further trying to control. Or if you misread the reading, when there's a chance that the situation could be healed, you may, as I said, go back to self-sabotage and just abandon the whole thing because you think of the worst case scenario and walk away when possibly everything could have been sorted out. But you built a wall, decided that you weren't going to get involved with this, and shut them out. And in so doing, possibly sabotaged a great healing and a great unconditional love. So, having said all this, why have a tarot reading? Well, I believe that a responsible tarot reader will give you a tarot reading, and if the reading turns out to be a little bit bleak, that tarot reader will show you how you can change it for the better and adjust the way the reading pans out. Or if the tarot reading looks a little bit bleak, they will show you how you can help yourself to heal and be positive and be well. And at this point, if you're in a very bad place, I hope that they would advise you to seek help from others if they could, from professional counsellors or people that they really trust. But if they can't, I would hope that the tarot reader themselves could help in some way to give guidance. There are many tarot readers who are trained counsellors and psychologists, so you can speak to them anonymously, or you can speak to a Samaritans, and hopefully that tarot reader led you on a path towards healing and becoming well. And if the tarot reader gives you a reading that's looking really good, then that's a wonderful thing, because it tells you that you're beginning to think in very positive ways about your life, and you're heading into a direction of finding happiness within yourself. And the more you find happiness within yourself, the more you attract happiness from outside. So it's a lovely guidance to say, you know, to just give you the confidence to know that you're going in the right direction. And I believe, other than that, the tarot doesn't really have a place, in my opinion, because if it's not just used as a guideline to help you to improve your life, or to know that you're on a good steady path, I think it can lead us down the path of obsessiveness, control, being unable to make any decisions for ourselves without turning to someone who will give a psychic reading or a tarot reading. And often you find with fearful people that the more they have to lose, the more obsessive they get. I mean, if you look, way back through time, when, the kings and queens of lands like the Greeks and the Romans, the Celts, all sorts of different cultures, they all had soothsayers or runestone readers or medicine men who they would turn to for advice, because they were so terrified of losing control of all the power that they had, that they turned to these readers so that they could hold on to it. But I would say some of them used the information wisely and others didn't. And unfortunately, if the soothsayer or medicine man or psychic reader, runestone reader, got it wrong, they would lose their heads. So even then, the tarot could be abused or not. It's also true that quite a few tarot readers have a sort of telepathic ability when connecting with other people, and they can sort of literally read the thoughts of other people, and those thoughts can involve worst case scenarios, and they can sometimes pick up on what you firmly believe, which can be possibly misleading, because it's what you believe but may not necessarily be true. So for instance, sort of on a not so great level, if you think that someone stole something from you and you believe it really powerfully, a tarot reader may pick up on that. And so the tarot reader has to be quite discerning to make sure that they get the correct information. And if they know that they are aware of picking up the direct thoughts of other people, and they usually know who they are, as opposed to picking up the energies around the person, then that could lead to a destructive path. If they say, oh, this person has stolen from you, and the person hasn't. And that is why when you're learning the tarot, you need to take steps to realise in what way you're reading it, whether it's telepathically or based on the energies that you pick up surrounding the person. And this is why when these kind of things happen, and in the early stages when you're learning tarot, you can influence the cards with your own thoughts. This is why a lot of religions say that the tarot cards are the devil's work, because you must be careful and be responsible when you're reading them. And this is often why I say to people that, starting with the tarot cards, which just have positive messages, are a lot safer until you really understand where your abilities are coming from. And there are quite a number of tarot cards around that do just contain positive messages, and are a lot better to use for people who aren't quite sure to start off with. Or otherwise, you can forget about tarot for a period of time and just use the oracle cards, which give positive messages, which will tend to put you on a lighter path and will possibly give you more broad spectrum readings that don't make such precise predictions to people until you feel that you're developed enough and you're picking up enough of the correct energies to give a safe, responsible tarot reading. So, do tarot readings have a place in your life? Well, absolutely. If you're interested in them and you like to see possible sort of guidelines for your life, then please do use the tarot readings. But remember that they're just there as a guideline to your life, to let you know how you're getting on. And it's important to then accept the reading, decide how you can improve your life and make things better and more positive, and then to get on with your life and know that you are in charge of your life to make decisions for the better within yourself, without the influence of other people and without controlling other people, and to know that life takes you where it will, and all you need to do as you grow and learn is to understand how to move with the flow of life and the changes that life brings without fearing it. I really hope that this has helped you to understand the tarot, and if you are interested in learning more about the tarot and the card reading, I will be doing some more on that so that you can learn it hopefully in a safe and responsible way. But if you're not really interested in taking tarot reading any further, I just hope this has helped you to understand how you can use the tarot in a positive and productive way, and to really be aware and ask yourselves whether it is starting to become a help or a hindrance. Thank you and goodbye.